Welcome to the Foreshore of Opportunity. My project, much like the Thames itself, is a liquid body of contradictions. The Thames is both a source of beauty and danger. In Another Water, the artist Ronnie Horn illustrates this well. Nonetheless, in 2025, the water will be significantly cleaner thanks to the super sewer. Although this prevents hundreds of cubic meters of raw sewage to overflow into the Thames, there is no guarantee that it won't oversaturate soon if we don't change our water habits. I ask, can we address London's environmental and social water inequalities through Thames foreshore access and artistic production strategies? My proposal exists within the foreshore development and artistic production love triangle. I am aiming to address my research question in two parts. A, creating a series of foreshore objects that enhance access, safety, pleasure and education. And B, developing ephemeral foreshore sanctuaries to host collaboration and artistic production. The foreshore is typically known as the beach that appears between high and low tide. These equate to vast areas of land as the tidal Thames stretches over 160 kilometers. As part of my practice, I have mapped, catalogued, and temporarily named the beaches. Producing a towel had many functions, but mainly they are a great way of engaging with people in a joyful way. As pleasure activism and queer ecology framed the project. And towels are simply basic beach needs, as they comfort the body from the cold, the wet, and the gravel. They are a very primitive form of social infrastructure. There are many existing communities on the foreshore, varying from charities to leisure groups. Their deep knowledge of the foreshore greatly contrasts with the city. But I believe there is a fluid boundary between both, where change can happen. Which is why I have chosen to redefine the foreshore to also include the beach, the path, neighbouring developments or natural sites, and the water itself as it seeps into the land. As you can see, the Thames foreshore varies greatly from west to east. It seems like most stairs, ramps and ladders are in good condition, but lacking of hand railings, signage and lighting. The foreshore objects seek to improve access on both a spatial and social level. Humble interventions, such as signage, are a symbol of recognition to these undervalued spaces. These interventions range from a simple beach sign to a foreshore cabin, which can double up as a changing room or perhaps a foreshore lifeguard post. However, objects alone cannot change our attitude towards water and ecosystems. For this, collaboration and a program of artistic production are key to facilitate fluid education. London was once a Roman settlement and is now home to over 9 million people. The most obvious impact of development is the urban density of the city, and per consequence, vast areas of foreshore have been encroached on by development. Activist and lover of the Thames once said, "I was born by the sound of the tide. There was no parks, but there was access to the foreshore." Slowly, more of the foreshore was being reclaimed by developers and public access was being removed. Development can signify various things, from governing bodies such as the Port of London Authority, the Thames Cultural Vision report commissioned by the PLA and the GLA, done by Publica, or luxury residential developments, or fast river transportation via Uber boats. The river is full of life, hosts many forms of microinfrastructure. Sadly, most is human-centered, and ecological infrastructure is only recent super sewer. Thanks to its completion, the river's image and use will change greatly in 2025. However, it remains hidden, meaning that it will not change our water consumption habits. Water is a global matter. What we consume and pollute affects the most marginalized communities around the world. In our symposium collaborating as the Warm Earth Lab, we established a methodology to gather warm data to be used in addition to metric data. We are determined that incorporating artistic production both as an outcome and a design tool could mitigate the detrimental impact of development on the landscape. As mentioned previously, artistic practice can be an outcome or a tool. It can be a process, a conversation, a text, a craft, an emotion, a collective creation, or a fleeting moment. The projects that inspired me to create my own performance as part of my proposal all draw from many of these characteristics. My performance entitled Pleasure, Pollution and Politics illustrates the current contradiction between the Thames and the city. It's a simultaneous proximity, yet an intense disconnection. This reminds me of the essay entitled Hydrofeminism, Becoming a Body of Water by Astrida Neymanis, that explains that despite what we perceive as membranes, we are all bodies of water connected through time and space, as well as distorting the permanent and allowing us to focus on the ephemeral. The performance gifts to myself, the audience, the onlookers, and the secondary audience a moment of pleasure that soothes from the symptoms of the metropolis. See my essay, Seeking Serotonin. Finally, this leads me to answer the second part of the research question. In addition to the foreshore objects, a program of events at low tide was created. Events such as archaeological digs, birds watching, algae singing, feet dipping, erosion measuring, and water safety courses will be hosted on the Thames foreshore. Some during the day and some at night, depending on the moon. Semi-permanent gabion foundation beds form the base of a foreshore installation that serves to anchor these events in the landscape. Then, depending on needs of the events, Different timber structures can be assembled and disassembled in time for the tide. People are starting to re-evaluate their timetables and values since coming to these events, and definitely starting to rekindle their relationship with the River Thames in a caring way, not a commodifying way. They are also starting to change their domestic water habits. As a designer, I cannot choreograph the everyday, but I can lend my tools to users and communities to reclaim a space, turning a simple beach into a foreshore of opportunity.